Coming live from my apartment, it's Rob Has a Podcast. And now, here's the guy who, before every podcast, also needs his mom. I'm Rob Cesternino. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our Wednesday night Big Brother recap. I'm very excited because this is going to be a fantastic show because this is the one night a year where we get to talk to the man who made such an impact on Big Brother that even 13 years after he played, they're still trying to vote out people because they're America's player. Here is our great friend Eric Stein. Eric, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Rob. I get really nervous for these. I really do. Because in my mind, you haven't done a podcast since our last podcast.
Yes.
Like, I actually get, like, really demoralized when, like, we do one, you post it, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go look at the comments, and you've done, like, 25 since then. It's like 3 days later, I'm like, oh, man, you know, these are, like, my one moment of glory a year.
No, well, this is good. Everybody looks forward to this show, so very excited. For a while, you were only doing them every other year, but we've got worked you up to every year, so this is really exciting to hear you talk about Big Brother again this summer.
What's next? Twice a year, maybe. Even.
Twice a year, maybe. By Big Brother 20, we'll be up to twice a season.
I'll be dead by then.
All right, and also to talk about another busy week on the live feeds, here is our Wednesday night live feed correspondent, Alex Kidwell. Alex, how are you?
Doing great, Rob. It's great to be here as always. Yeah, it's been a crazy week and an exciting one in the Big Brother house. Although on another note, I was really excited to listen to the podcast you did with Jason Somerville yesterday, and you know, to be honest, I was a little bummed, but not surprised to learn that my home state of Maryland is god awful at Survivor and Big Brother.
Well, that'll happen. That'll happen. Watch out for that. All right. So we had a fun show, yeah, that, as Alex is alluding to, Jason Somerville, poker pro, and somebody who's doing a great job actually being a professional poker player who's not on the Big Brother show. Got to speak with him. He told us a little bit about Vanessa and his few run-ins with her, just a little bit about what he knows about her, and then also plenty about Survivor in that show. So we've got a big show here tonight. Of course, tomorrow we'll be live after the double eviction back with Ian Terry to talk about that all on the Thursday night show. So plenty of stuff coming up here on the podcast. So let's just set up the stage here. We've got our chat room open at robswebsite.com. People are chatting during the show. We're going to be taking your Twitter questions here with Eric Stein, hashtag RHAP. Eric, how's your summer been?
Oh, boy. You know the answer to this already, don't you? I mean, why do we dance this dance every single time? It's been, at best, highly mediocre, at worst, terrible. It's nothing.
Why?
I haven't seen a beach. I haven't seen a concert.
Me neither.
I'm that guy who might need a T-shirt in the pool nowadays. At times, it's tough times. This is it. This is the highlight for me, so we better do a good job.
All right, Eric. So where do you want to pick things up? Because we really haven't spoken at all about Big Brother 17, and we could get into the minutia of tonight's episode, and we surely will. But let me just get your take on the season as a whole. A lot of people have said this is the best Big Brother season in years, and even in our correspondence, you said that you actually don't even hate this season.
Yeah, this is the first season in years that doesn't actually stress me out to the point of near insanity. I'm not hate watching it at all. I think this is a great, great season. I think every single person who's gone home so far was a big character. I mean, there's been no one who's like completely disposable. There's a ton of wild cards. I think most of them aren't really even deplorable. I mean, this is really, really good. So good that they threw away their own twist.
Yeah. What do you think of that? That they got rid of the twist faster than you throw away an idea that you might be thinking about?
Yeah, extremely mortifying. Why go through the theatrics of claiming that you're going to have every week, a new person, this and that, and not follow through on it? And if there was ever any question about people trying to claim that the season is fully laid out ahead of time and they never make on-the-fly decisions about competitions or twists, I think we can put that one to rest for good.
Were you approached about doing a Big Brother takeover this summer?
I was not. I think that I should have been. Everybody there thinks that there's an America's player, right? This would be my pitch for it. Come in as America's player, but it's known to everybody. I just show up, hey guys, you thought there was America's player here. That's me. And then they just paranoid as hell because they outright know I'm playing for America. So they know anything that I'm doing is now, like they have the ulterior, motives behind it or whatever. I think it would have really stirred up the house. I could have been a mercenary for production. Just, shook up the game a little bit.
A player comes into the house on a future season and just says from day one, I'm America's player?
I think it would be brilliant, yeah, because then it's like you can subtly influence the game without actually having to do anything. Just be like, you see the people who look nervous right now? You know why. They're up to something. And then just say, that, like, where do you think you stand in your alliance? You at the bottom? We got to reshuffle the deck. And just, like, make vague cliches, and the next thing you know, house explodes.
Right, and then you could never get in trouble for voting the way that people didn't want you to because it's like, oh, I just found out I had to vote the other way.
Yeah,
it's America. Guys. It wasn't even me.
Yeah, and my other suggestion would be that several past questionable, not even like the greats, just like the most random array of house guests, actually physically scaled the backyard wall and just actually took over the game, unbeknownst, like it's almost presented as if production's not in on it. Like they're breaking into the house, they're just totally taking over, have a competition between the past house guests and the current. If the past win, someone actually gets to stay and replace someone from the current house guests.
Wow. Whoa.
But instead, we got Gronk making out with Meg on a cruise, and that's it.
Now, do you know Meg? You got to know Meg, right?
I do not know Meg. I know of Meg. But actually, I do want to say something about this, though. She's been sort of derided for being recruited. Everyone thinks that she was found through Andrea and Frankie, and that I actually know for a fact is not true. She was actually found at work while she was serving, and it was pure coincidence. So she got here on her own merits.
Okay, so she just happened to know Andrea.
Just happened to know her.
Now, I also heard a rumor that you were the person that actually found Becky on Tinder. Is that true?
Well, oh boy, I don't think I'm on my game here. I couldn't come up with anything. Literally, not one zinger, not one quip. I was gonna go on a whole diatribe. I've actually never been on Tinder, Rob. Like as if it was dead serious. This is bad.
That is not true.
No, I've never.
Okay. All right, Eric. So who are some of the players this season that you've really liked? Is Johnny Mac one of your favorites as well?
Yeah, of course. He's a universal crowd pleaser. The next in a long line of DR shouters, paying homage to the greats like Chef Joe, and he's a lot of fun. I love how inside the house they say, what is this guy doing here? He has no purpose here. He's the most boring guy who's ever stepped foot in the house. So it's a complete put on, and I love it. It's like I'm sure it's been discussed many times. So like Bobcat Goldthwait is like unleashed on the house. It's like, what is happening?
Now, tonight was really the first night it seemed like he was involved in the actual strategy talk of the game. That wasn't just, hey, Johnny Mac, we're going to need you to go up on the block this week. He had a plan, and his plan was to talk to Vanessa, and he wanted Vanessa to, if she got house guest choice, he wanted Shelly to put him up as a person to play in the veto competition. And about 10 minutes into this, I'm like, well, if this is definitely happening. This is Chekhov's veto draw. Anytime they're showing us people talking about the veto draw, it's not going to happen. And we saw Johnny Mac pretty upset about this. Johnny Mac says to Shelly after it's all over, he's like, yeah, but what does it matter if Vanessa's pissed off at you, Shelly? And is that the right way to think of these things, Eric?
Yeah, he's 100% right. What's amazing in this house is that time and time again, people show their cards. There's no mystery to what they're doing, and yet they still are getting away with it. I mean, Shelly completely showed, I am not with you, John. I am not with you, Steve. I am still with Vanessa. And yet, here we are. He's like, oh, I don't know why she's doing this. It's like, you do know why she's doing this. It's because she trusts Vanessa more than she trusts you. It's not like a mystery. And I love how he comes up to Steve and he's like, yeah, I think you should sit on the block until eviction night. Like, wasn't his marquee moment of the season when he's in the diary room and he's like, no, I will not use the veto on myself. And he's asking Steve to do the exact same thing. I mean, what's wrong with these people? It's completely unreasonable.
Is Johnny Mac the first player in the history of Big Brother that is sort of making like the Subway sandwich of alliances, that he's just picking a bunch of random people who have no connection with them, with each other under any sort of circumstance, and just sort of like uniting them because he likes all of them, where he's like, yeah, I'm friends with Becky, Steve, I know he hates Becky's guts, but sure, he's my friend, and then Shelly, I'll put her in the alliance. Like, isn't it kind of wacky?
I think, I mean, it's like somewhat, how can you even form an alliance when there's been alliances for 2 months inside of the house? I mean, it's really just pretty much a non-existent play. So I think this is really like only in his own mind, his alliances.
Yeah, it didn't really stick.
Right. I feel as if it's a new Big Brother game. I really do. I think it's a breakneck pace in the house. And I think someone who used to lay back, it would be strategically really effective for someone like John. You know, you stay out of the fray, and that is working for people. But the problem is there's like tons of game that's been played by the time that he's actually getting around to it, and it's like too little too late. I feel like it's at a much faster pace than it used to be, and that's what you're saying. He's like trying to kind of pick up the pieces, but there's no pieces to pick up, really.
So do you feel like that it is passé to say to somebody, go into the Big Brother house, don't get involved in anything for the first month of the season, and then start to turn it on as we get to the middle point?
Well, yes and no, because it really depends on the type of person they are and what type of groundwork they're laying. Like, 100%, that's the correct gameplay for Meg. Because what's she going to do? She's not going to dominate from the beginning. So if she comes out trying to strategize and she's putting herself really out there and I'm so well liked and I'm going to game this and that, she goes home in week 2 then. So she almost needs to make herself a non-entity. So it really depends on the person. But I do think, right, the days of I'm going to meet everyone, I'm going to figure out who my alliance is, they're kind of behind us, you know. But then again, look at the dynamic of the season. The Sixth Sense dominate for a month, but it's the wrong month. Who gives a crap that you got out people 2 through 5? That doesn't do anything for anybody's game, and we're seeing that now. So I don't know. It's a fine line. I think it really is a case-by-case basis, but what you don't want is to be just left out of the fray. I think you want to be person number 3 or 4 in a majority alliance, so you can kind of coast for a little bit but not take the heat. Pretty much exactly what Andy did on his season. He let Helen and Alyssa and McCrae and Amanda take the heat for him, and then he only struck later in the game when there was actually an opportunity for it, but he was never going to be the one who went home when it all blew up in the first place.
So who's been that person this season?
Well, theoretically, it could be Becky, it could be John, it could be the Meg, it could be one of the twins. I mean, it could be so many people. That's what's amazing about this season. I would actually argue, and I don't know if you guys agree, I think literally anyone left in the house could still win the game, without exception, which is so rare. I remember when we talked last year, almost rolling on the floor talking about, Victoria and some of the other people who were left in the house. And here we have a situation where I think anybody can still win at this point. There's so many, with also so many players, there's so much game left to play. So you could have done absolutely nothing to this point. Becky's a total non-entity, and all of a sudden you get a Shelly or a Vanessa out of the house, and all of a sudden you're not a non-entity. You were just laying in the weeds until the time came.
Alex, how about either of the twins? Could either of the twins win the game?
Well, yeah, if the twins are sitting next to each other, there you go, Rob.
What if they're not? What if they're not sitting next to each other?
Yeah, that was easy. Yeah, there's a scenario. I mean, I don't think that people love Austin right now. I think if one of them was sitting next to Austin, I think they have a very real shot. I think there's other people, like Steve doesn't have the social relationship, so I think maybe there's an argument to be made there. I think it's still very open, and I do see avenues for everybody left. Yeah, I was trying to think of somebody who has little to no shot, and yeah, I don't really see it yet.
If I had to bet my life that someone was going to make the Final Four, it's one of the twins for sure. Because you figure, well, you have to get through the other twin, and maybe Austin, and this and that, or whatever. Like, there's only so many weeks you can get people out, and only so many weeks you're not in power. One of the twins is making the end of this game. Whether or not they're there with the right people and can make it to the end is another story. But, like, sign one of them up for the end game. One of them is there for sure.
Hey, talk to me, Eric, about Vanessa's game to this point. She's really been the person in the house who's been the most active, that's still in the game over these first 7 weeks of the show. What have you noticed about Vanessa? Are you more on the side that she is a really strong player, or are you more on the side that she is somebody who is just all over the place?
All right, I'm really torn about this because she obviously has the chops to be a great player, and she's done certain things that I think really knock my socks off. But as I'm sure you've discussed, her biggest downfall is that she does not know when to pick her spots. She interjects herself into areas that are none of her concern, and I believe that's her downfall in the game. If there's two people on the block, and it's kind of like, oh, I'd a little bit prefer this person out, but not so much, you do not put your neck on the line. You look like an insane person. That I hate to do these like old school references or self-reference, but that's what sunk Kale's game my season, is when
yes.
Dick and Joe were on the block. She was obsessed with getting Dick out. Then Dick stayed, and then she was just a target until she went home, because if you're not on the block and you're not HOH, you don't have any say. You have one vote. That's it. If you're obsessively trying to control people's votes, no good. I hated how Vanessa did that recent deal where she's pointing in everybody's face. You give me your word. You give me your word. Why is this any more important than anybody else giving each other their word? So she basically oversells her own importance, which makes her pisses people off. She makes unnecessary enemies with her theatrics. That said, she is a great manipulator. She's an emotional manipulator. I honestly cannot entirely decipher what is real emotion and what's game, which is great, because then you can prey on people's emotions that way.
But is it great, Eric? Because I'm not sure it's controlled.
It's hard. I don't know. You see, she'd be actually well-serviced by one diary room where she said, like, oh, I know exactly what I'm doing.
But we've
put
never
on the
seen that.
Waterworks. We haven't seen it. But
if there was that diary room, would Big Brother give that to us, Eric?
I feel like only one or two people get those diary rooms a season, although she is that person. She's the one who gets to lay out her strategy for us. So I think they actually would share that if she said it.
I think they would too.
Yeah, so I think it's safe to assume that most of the emotion is true. But that being said, I mean, her sphere of influence is huge. She can turn things around really quickly, as exhibited with Clay and Shelley last week. She's consistently made people go after the wrong targets. That the only person who's actually benefiting from it is her. And she's convinced everybody it's a house decision, which is a Big Brother stroke of really high-class play. You convince everyone that they came up with it, they are doing what's best for their game. It's in no way best for their game. She's done that time and time again in the house. I would call her like a B-plus player in totality. She has the skills to be A+, but she just overplays her hand. She needs to pick her battles more carefully.
To me, I feel like coming from the world of poker, where you play so many hands at the table, like I feel like it's a hard transition to go from a game where there's that much action to go into Big Brother when there's so many times where inaction is the better way to go.
She's a very strong player from also in power. She plays really well when she's in charge. She has proven to not play very well when she's not in power. And I know we've discussed this every time we ever talked about Big Brother. She discounted people in the house, which is a death knell to anybody's game. She did not think that Jackie or Becky or any of them were strong or smart enough to unravel her game. You can't discount these people. They're still there. They still have a vote. They still have other friends and alliances. So she acted as if she was just going to march her way to the end of the game, and she didn't even come close to that. I mean, think about all the early alliances in Big Brother history, from Mrs. Robinson to the Horsemen to the Regulators. If you think about it, not many of them really went down in history as the greats here or anything like that, because they don't make it. She should have known better than trying to assert herself to dominate the early game. 17 players is unbelievably long. And the only way you're going to get to the end is, like, you got to lay back a little bit. Pump the brakes here and there.
would it maybe behoove Vanessa to potentially go out of the house for a couple of weeks and then be the person who gets back in?
Well, you know my feelings on this. I think once you're out, you should never be able to win the game. I would never cast a vote for someone who is out of the house. They get a huge advantage. They got to sit out multiple eliminations. They get knowledge in the jury house. I think, yeah, she could come back stronger, but I think her game is toast then, so I wouldn't want to do that. I mean, another thing that's crazy about her is,
do you think somebody that got voted out could never win the game?
could never win the game. Yeah, because all it takes is one person to articulate on the jury, we did not get this second chance. So anyone would think to themselves, well, if I got to play twice, I would have done better also. If I got to sit out 3 weeks and learn information in the jury house from my enemies, I'd play better also.
Hold on, back up. You wouldn't have voted for Crazy James to win?
No. I mean, literally, Vanessa could be sitting there against Meg at the end of the game, and Vanessa could sit out 1 week, and I'm voting for Meg. No, hands down, because Meg didn't get eliminated. That's the object of the game.
Yeah. Alex, do you think a player could win after being voted out?
I think it's possible, and, I don't know that I would have said that before watching the first season of Big Brother Canada, where Gary was probably supposed to win, and the vote, literally his best friend in the house mistakenly cast her vote. But I think that was like an organic product of the people there. Like, you had some people bitter at Jillian. You had some people really close to Gary. I think it's very rare, and the only situation where you could see it, it would have to be like this perfect storm of bitterness towards the person who didn't leave, coupled with this like conquering returning hero vibe on this kind of returning player. And that's like, to create that narrative is very rare, I would think.
Yeah, I think it could happen. I don't think it's likely, but I think it could happen.
Well, I could envision it happening. I personally would be disgusted by it. But last year, if Hayden had come back and went on like a 5 competition winning streak and he tore down Derek and his entire alliance, I think he could have won the vote in the end. But that's not going to happen. Usually the person who comes back is completely disposable. Judd and Nicole made the exact same mistakes. They were the exact same place in the game that they were. They were not used by anybody. It's just like they're persona non grata when they come back. Another thing about Vanessa's game that I hate is that she offers the worst deals in Big Brother history. I mean, it's completely insane.
How do you mean? What does she do?
There's 10 people left. I'll protect you until there's 9.5 people left.
That's a good deal.
I'll protect you until next Tuesday, but after that, all deals are off. It's like, lady, if you're not casting every vote for me, we're not going to the final 3 together. What even makes her think? I would find that so condescending if someone said to me, I'll keep you safe for another 1.5 weeks. It's like, first of all, how the hell are you going to keep me safe any more than I'm going to? Second of all, that's the best you have for me? It's completely
and third of all, she's not even good for those deals.
Right. And also, rule number 1 of Survivor and Big Brother, unless you're the one offering the deal, it's a bad deal. So, I mean, if someone brings you a deal, it's obviously in their best interest, not in your best interest, if you conceive that it's in your best interest. So if she came to me, it's like, well, Eric, I'll get your back for the next 42 minutes. It's like, I don't appreciate that at all. If anything, it goes to show me that in 43 minutes, she's definitely coming after me. And it's very bizarre. Very bizarre. And another thing that's strange is I've seen a lot of people saying how voting Jason out was where it all started to unravel. But I don't agree with that. Where it all started to unravel was going after Austin, who was her closest ally in the first place. That's throwing shade on someone who's never wronged you in the game because they were just obviously trying to protect the twins. I mean, he didn't do anything. No big deal. He wasn't throwing anyone under the bus. And so the fact that she's in week 4 thinking, I'll vote out my strongest ally for no reason on a whim, doesn't think it through enough, and then pulls it back. That's where it went wrong. If she had actually just stood up and said, I'm going after Jason, you're on the opposite side of the house and he's out, it wouldn't have ruffled any feathers. Everyone would have said, okay, it's because of the histrionics of it all.
And the 8-person deal.
Right.
Yeah.
And all of this bullshit, and she upsets people unnecessarily. There's no need for it. If she just said, we're on opposite sides of the house, sorry, Jason, good game, and that was the end of it, no one would even be bothered by it. But why is she going after her ally in the first place. You know, she's too all over the place.
It's a good point, because I do think that there are players, the best players that we think about in Survivor and a Big Brother, I do think that they have a stillness to them, and they sort of come up with the plan is, and then they sort of act out this plan. And I think that people have made this comparison before, but Vanessa reminds me a lot of Tony from Survivor a couple seasons ago. And I happen to be rewatching that season right now for the Evolution of Strategy book. And there's a lot of like, okay, so I'm going to do this now. And now, okay, I'm going to go for LJ. And now I'm going to vote for Jeffra. And now I'm going to, okay, look, Spencer, now you're with me. Now I'm going to vote against you. And so there's a lot of just like bouncing around the board. And it's too frenetic, I think, in a game like this.
Yeah, I completely agree, because in Survivor, as we know, you can stay in the numbers, and that's that. In Big Brother, you could always fall out of power. So making enemies in Big Brother has more consequences, because even in the majority, you can still pay the piper here. So, I mean, I definitely agree with you. I think she's all over the map, and I think it's, right, a cardinal mistake. You never change your target midweek. I don't think that that's ever a good idea in Big Brother. The same person who is a danger to you on Friday is still a danger to you on Tuesday. So yeah. I don't understand how and that's actually probably one of the biggest mistakes that's made in Big Brother, is people overthink it because they have too much time on their hands. It's all they get to do. So Survivor unfolds at a faster clip, and you can't like talk yourself into idiotic behavior. On Big Brother, you just sit there and get to the point of, you know, it gets ridiculous, and you almost like talk yourself out of what was actually the well-conceived plan in the first place.
Okay. So this week we had the rise of Becky into power. What have you thought about the dramatic turnaround in Becky, who was such a floater the whole game, to now being this person who is like a gangster in the house?
It's tremendous. Like, it's so funny watching the show, because everyone pulls for the underdogs, right? But I was actually saying, like, just before, after watching the episode, what if this was just 2 weeks ago and Shelley was saying everything that Becky said in this episode about one of the fans' favorites? It would be like, what a condescending bitch, and she's power hungry and this and that. And now that Becky's doing it, it's like, yeah, go Baxter, like, you got this, girl. It's so funny to me, just like the switch, the mood of everything. But I love it. I love that she's fearless and Jackie's fearless, because it's what I was saying at the top of the show. There's no non-entities this season. Everybody in their own way is playing the game. And it reminds me back of some of the earlier castings where not everyone might not be great TV, or they might not be in the mix of strategy the way you want them to be or expect them to be, but they're still playing their own version of the game. I love that Becky rises to power. All of a sudden she's egomaniacal, and she's, you know, has and she's all of these plots and plans. And if you didn't know better, which we don't know better, she's been doing this all season long. We just haven't seen it. You know, it's just like going on, whether it's in her mind and private conversations. It just never made the edited show. But this is the same player who stepped into the house. She just wasn't in power. So as far as I'm concerned, if she's laying back, now she's reveling in it. So I love it.
So why do you think this season has been different? Is it because of Battle of the Block has been the biggest reason? And maybe even if you go back to Big Brother 15, something like the MVP twist was also something that hurt people from going and making big moves that might be unpopular?
Yeah, it's definitely ending BOB early this year it saved the game. I mean, when you have a big alliance like the Detonators Bomb Squad, or like the Sixth Sense, you especially if you form it with the best players in the house, you can't unseat them from power. So it just, it's a runaway at that point. So I think pulling out the Battle of the Block when they did pretty much more or less saved the season strategically, and it also kind of set up the favorites as perfect sort of foils. Like everybody has targets. It set them up like, they dominated for 4 weeks straight, so they're obvious targets now. I love it. It's just everyone's kind of out front and center. I don't feel like there's anyone who's really has a sneaky game going on. I think it's just like everyone's showing their cards. They're all a hot mess, but that's what's fun, because they change at the drop of a dime no matter what.
So for Big Brother 18, would you be in favor of, say, 4 weeks of Battle of the Block at the start of that season?
Absolutely not. It's horrible.
Okay. Just checking. Just checking.
No.
Okay. Just listen up. So Becky tonight, though, had such a heel turn. I mean, or a face turn, however you want to. She went from like a nothing into maybe a fan favorite at this point. Oh, she was like so treacherous about the whole Vanessa thing.
Yeah, I think
terrifying.
It's hilarious between her and serial killer Steve.
Save Steve. I'm going to talk about him next.
All right, yeah. Well, I mean, I think the way I see it is blame this on the edit. In my opinion, this Becky has been there all along, and we just haven't seen it. She was just waiting for the opportunity. She obviously is a total attention whore. Anyone who ever pays attention to her on the feed, she can turn any story into a tale about herself and her retail madness and greatness and whatever the case may be. So this is it. It's all eyes on her right now. So she's going to make the biggest spectacle of herself that she possibly can. I am positive that in her own mind, she's the star of the show. So she's running it with it now. I think it's hilarious. I don't think it's smart, but I think it's hilarious. I mean, I don't know.
Train has left the station.
How many seasons in a row do need to happen where people make the same mistakes over and over and over again? I mean, play too strong. Becky is outwardly making enemies. This is not necessary. Unless you know for a fact that these people cannot get back at you, which I don't know in what version of Big Brother you can possibly know that. You do not outwardly make multiple enemies. It's ridiculous.
Are you sure about that?
I also feel, well, the way you could do that is if you're in a majority alliance that's dominating, I actually think it is good to keep people on the outskirts, to just target, because one of Vanessa's problems is she makes deals with everyone she never intends on keeping, which insults their intelligence. It upsets them. If people feel embarrassed by what you've done to them, they will hold that chip on their shoulder until they have the opportunity to come back at you. I mean, look at this week. That's why Vanessa's in this situation. She goes up to Becky and says, "You need to thank me because I saved you by putting up Jason. I saved you from a dangerous situation." No, bitch, you did not save me. You put me in that position in the first place. You put me on the block. Like, this is a pretty simple rule of Big Brother. If someone nominates you, as whatever reason, a pawn, it's part of a plan, this or that, they do not care about your life in the game. You are expendable to them, you can go home. So Vanessa cannot argue that she helped Becky in any way, shape, or form by putting her on the block. It does not work that way.
Yeah. Stuff like that, though, that's where I wonder about Vanessa. Is Vanessa manipulating Becky? Because I almost feel like Vanessa is believing that when she's saying it to Becky.
I honestly don't think we'll know. I think her post-show interviews are going to be fascinating because I think there'll be a lot of revisionist history. But she's smart enough that she'll tell it in a way that's very believable.
Yes.
I believe that in her own mind, as you're saying, she has a logical rationale for all of this. I don't know what's intentional and what's not. It's very hard to say.
Alex, what's your take on that? So when Vanessa says something like to Becky about how I kept you safe because I put somebody up next to you and Jason that was going to go home, when she actually put Becky on the block.
Yeah, no, Eric's 100% right. Like, you need to kind of cut between the nonsense a lot of times. And of course, people are going to have rhetoric anytime they're coming to you with that speech. You're going on the block. Whether you're a pawn, whether you're just there as a seat filler, it doesn't matter what the role is. You're expendable if you're someone that they feel comfortable putting on the block. You don't see Shelley putting Clay on the block. You don't see James putting Meg on the block. You just don't see that, and that there's a reason for that. And then as far as the other part goes, I agree. I mean, Becky, even if she felt like she totally had Vanessa down, like, that her foot's on Vanessa's throat, I mean, you still just don't need to rub salt in the wound. I think anytime you're getting a diary room where you're getting a quote from Jerry from Big Brother 10 saying, "You're going home," I don't think that's a good indicator of your ability as a diplomat moving forward. And, I don't like it at all.
Another thing is, you never want to be obsessed with individual targets on Big Brother, Survivor, whatever. If you have personal vendettas and you think a victory in the game is getting out that person, you're wrong. It's the old winning the battle, not the war. So everyone has these obsessions this season. Like, you know, it's basically like, I think Becky will feel as if she won the game if she sends Vanessa home, and without the realization that there's more than half the cast still there. You know, and I just don't like the inflexibility and sort of like the obsessive targeting. It's really a bad strategy.
Yeah. Let's talk about Steve. Because I don't know what the hell was going on with Steve tonight. He got such a weird edit tonight with what was going on with him. We've seen so many odd things from him, Eric, about his love affair with the camera. Nobody's talking to him. And now we sort of started to see evil Steve take over. What do you think of Steve's story so far in the game?
I think it's really great. Going back to what I said before, I think a lot of people think Steve's a non-entity. He's not entertaining. But this is the point. That was the early days of reality TV, is to see how different people handle these situations, not to see how 17 bartenders from Santa Monica handle the situation. So I love it. Steve is literally trying to make it through the day. He's not trying to make it through the game. He's trying to literally, like, just not end it all. You know, he's just, please, just let me wake up tomorrow and just cross another one off the list. And yet, here he still is. He obviously knows the game really well. He's also a great case study in knowing the game and being able to play the game and implement the game is not the same thing. He actually might be able to coach Big Brother reasonably well. He certainly can't play Big Brother well. But at the same time, when you have a Steve in the house, I could virtually guarantee he is going to lead to someone's demise. Undoubtedly, because, you know, I know we mentioned this last year on the podcast. I feel like my only real regret from my own gameplay was that I disregarded Zach in the house, who was very similar to Steve, and basically he'd clear rooms. He was a total non-entity. He could have ran into the house and told me, guys, the house is on fire. We all need to leave, and I seriously would not have moved from the pool. I would have just stood there and just, great.
That is probably the safest place to be during a fire.
Exactly. And I think Steve kind of has that. His word is virtually meaningless. Again, great, Steve. Thanks. That's awesome, or whatever. And therefore, when Steve undoubtedly wins an HOH and sends someone's packing, you know, they're going to rue the day that they ignored Steve. And I think that's the edit that we're getting. I think that they're setting up for Steve's revenge and or possible murder. He might murder someone. Like, and if, let's say, he kills someone in the house, is that just an eviction, or do you think we'd still have an eviction that week?
Yeah, he's like the disgruntled employee that nobody's paying attention to. That's like the IT guy that everybody's like, okay, whatever, Steve. Yeah, you can install updates on my computer later. Okay.
You'll listen to me now, as he's in the clock tower shooting them.
He was very upset that Vanessa and Johnny Mac aren't getting along, and he said something very interesting, which I think might be a Big Brother first. He said this tonight.
Mom, I need you right now.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear that. Mom, I need you right now?
Mom, I need you right now.
Eric, have you ever seen a Big Brother contestant call out for mom?
I mean, I believe he also, a couple of weeks ago, right, didn't he ask for, just needs a hug from a human right now? Any old human, doesn't matter who or what, just, he's also spoken to his, you know, he can't showman's Julia because, you know, he has a very limited history of cuddling. I mean, what we're basically saying is that seeing his 9-year-old play the game.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that Shelley treats him as if he's an actual child.
Yeah.
Like, she's his handler, and he's like, you know, 9 months different than Clay is.
Right. Yeah.
Who she's planning her wedding with. So.
Yeah. I'm reading in the chat room. People are wanting to know if Steve is like Steve Buscemi in Billy Madison. There's a list, and Becky's on the top of it.
Yeah, so Becky better apologize, so that way, glad I called that guy. Cross him off the list. 100%.
Eric, what is Steve's issue with Becky?
I love it. It's obviously, okay, so it's obviously that she's just a bitch to him. I think that we haven't seen it on the show, but it's the popular girl versus the nerd guy, and this is like making him have PTSD of his like cafeteria moments or whatever. It's like, every Becky in the world is going to pay for this, for, leaving me out of the conversation. I'll show her, that I matter. It's exactly what we're saying. It's honestly, it's really sad. It really is.
Oh no.
I feel bad for him. I really do, because this is just a guy who seriously just wants someone to allow him in the conversation. I really don't think he has an ulterior motive. I think he just wants to be like a part of things, and they're not having it.
Will you be friends with Steve after the season is over?
Well, I will, because he spoke pretty decently of me on the feeds, and anyone who doesn't outright hate me, we all have huge egos, so the slightest form of flattery means I like you. Jordan's one of my all-time favorites now from, your new
Jordan Parhar?
Yeah, exactly, because I'm his all-time favorite player, so as far as I'm concerned, he's now one of my all-time favorite players.
Yeah, there you go.
It's that simple. I mean, he recognized greatness,
Recognized greatness. Yeah, and I will be friends with Steve also, because who wants to get on his bad side, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think what we should do is I think we should get Jordan and Peter and Ian and Steve and myself and just have the weirdest, nerdiest, super fan game talk ever. Maybe Ronnie even. We can get them all.
You want that a season, or you want that as a podcast?
No, a podcast. Just so people's heads will explode from the awkwardness. The sheer, just uncomfortable nature of the whole conversation.
Didn't I already try this once?
Yeah, it's true. I just feel I feel a kinship with Steve. I mean, let's face it, I could climb a clock tower. It's possible.
Not that you're going to.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't want anyone who's watching this to look into this at all. I'm just saying.
Eric, tonight was the return of the comic book veto competition. Do you like when they do this?
Yeah, I think it's funny. I think it's cool. I would have liked to have one of myself.
Yeah, what would the Eric Stein comic book be?
Oh, Jesus. I could hardly even imagine. It probably would have been like me with a bar mitzvah attire on or something like that, considering the show. It's like, I'm going to do the blessing over the wine or something ludicrous, undoubtedly. I fear it probably would have been showmance related. I love Austin's I'm not sure I understand why my character was smelly. Look around, buddy. The other comics are a direct representation of what everybody is in the house. It's not like they're any cutesy things. It's I'm from the Big Apple. I'm a puma. I'm this, I'm that. It's dude, you smell. It's saying it plain as day. There's nothing to interpret about this.
Yeah, I felt like the Meg thing was such a punt on, what do we know about Meg? She's from the Big Apple.
That's probably all there is to know, right?
I'm surprised they didn't do anything about the BB scandal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that would have been... Could have watched Shelley's head explode. It should have just been her and Clay on the same comic. He's like, we're going to can't wait to get you drunk in New York, baby. It'd be perfect. Yeah, she's she's the mistress or something. It would be awesome.
Well, I'm still accepting submissions for what the Eric Stein comic book is in the chat room.
I want full-on drawings. This would be amazing. I could be the
send those
schnoz, perhaps.
Will you join Twitter if we get enough?
All right, let's talk about this once and for all.
Let's do it.
All right. I could actually kind of use Twitter for the top secret work that I'm currently doing. It would actually really benefit me. But my concerns about Twitter. My concerns are, Rob, Alex, and I go to a Yankee game. We have a great day. I post a picture of the stadium. And in the comments under today, in the here and now, the present, they say to me, I always liked you and Jessica on Big Brother 8. Or, was Dick really a dick on your season? And it's you know what? This is not 8 years ago. This is now. I'm not trying to live in the past. I'm not trying to obsessively speak of all these things all the time. And let's face it, I do not have the skin to take the hatred, the venom that will be spewed at me.
Okay.
I mean, time heals all wounds, and I'm fairly well liked amongst your community, but the Big Brother fans as a whole, not so much.
Let's talk turkey. Let me offer you a deal. Okay, I'll offer you protection on Twitter for the next 46 minutes. Okay? No, why don't you make a Twitter and then make it private? What about that?
Well, that would defeat the purpose of what I would actually need Twitter for. I'd need it for actually...
But at least I could reach you, I feel like.
Well, that's true. Hey, you're one of the few... You might not think so, but the speed to which I get back to you is like lightning in comparison to everybody else.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
So
all right, I think I would like to actually see people building the case for me getting on Twitter but it's gonna be bullshit because if we look in the chat room now, I'm sure it's like, yeah, do it, Eric, or whatever. But we all know that it's gonna be a nasty, nasty place.
Well, here's the thing. I think there's a little bit of you have to rip the Band-Aid off. I think that there's going to be you join Twitter and then you're going to post stuff, and then for like the first month there'll be a lot of like, hey, what's going on? I thought you were dating Jessica, or blah 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 blah. Whatever.
I do not take it.
People will get bored, I think.
All right, but like, okay, I remember on Facebook, whatever you used to post, like in the earlier days of the podcast, you would post, okay, I'm going to do a podcast with Eric tonight. And you had one fan who every single time, she had no picture, it was like a non-person, be like, hi, Cesternino. Every single one, under every single thing you posted. And I always thought to myself, this is disturbing me.
Why? Did somebody call me by my last name?
No, it's just, what does she think is going to happen? Like, does she think you are personally in a conversation at that moment? Like, is it like you were telling her, like, I'm going to have this podcast, and she's like, oh, hi. Like, thank you for telling me that. Like, it's too bizarre for me. It really is. Like, I feel, and I don't want to go down the wormhole, because we all know, I'm saying this now, like, I'm not going to live tweet the episode of Big Brother. And then we all know I'll be, like, foaming at the mouth, like, beads of sweat coming down. What do you mean you didn't like me on my season? Like, I don't want to be, we all know who those guys are in the Big Brother world. I don't want to be those guys.
Right.
It's tough. I do feel like I'm missing out. And I actually, I'm not, like, mentally ill. I know how to use Twitter. I've seen friends' Twitters. Like, I know that there's actually a lot of nice and funny stuff out there. To me, I'm scared.
I got it.
The MySpace days.
Yeah.
That's how long ago this was.
I got it. You're a MySpace guy. That was your era.
I mean, if anyone wants to find me on MySpace, maybe I can link that back up.
Yeah. All right, how about this? What if we found somebody who was sort of your Twitter valet, who you have something you want to say on Twitter, they put it out there, you don't have to read the feedback.
That could work. Like Julie Chen's intern, for example. Like, no one's really buying, Julie, that you're giving these zingers out.
And it's just like the Twitter is like official Eric Stein, but it's not actually you. So people can't really ask you questions about things you don't want to talk about all the time.
You see, I feel good about, actually.
Yeah.
That might be pretty good.
People can follow official Eric Stein. They know it's not actually you. It makes you seem like you're more important because you don't even have the time to do the Twitter. And then whatever you have to get out there gets out there.
We all know also, like, after all this, like, such a hoopla, like, I'm going to have, like, would have 8 followers. Like, he's going to be like, why did you make me do this, Rob? Like, you're going to find me in the clock tower afterwards. Just thousands of Beckys waiting out there that make me feel inferior.
What were the comic books that you liked tonight? I thought there were some good ones.
I just think they're all together just kind of great. I think it's just funny. Although I will say this, I do not like production calling out actual facts about people. This has been bothering me for a long time. Like, I don't like them saying, I don't care how many times John says he's a dentist, he might not be a dentist. So his comic book should not be a dentist. Like, that bothers me. I know that that's like a very nitpicky thing, but I lied about my occupation during the game, and I wouldn't want to then go outside and have a comic book and be like, here's what he really does, I know he's not lying, but I still feel like they shouldn't provide any outside information in these.
There's a couple of them that I feel like were a miss. I'm looking at the Jeff one, and the Jeff is the salesman. Like, that's sort of a odd thing that they just picked up on.
Yeah, very generic. I mean, obviously, Audrey's was the best by far.
Audrey's is the best. And then I'm looking at the Jason one, and he's the Mylantor, which is a kind of, it's a funny name, but he has like a guy tied up with like links of sausage. Alex, can you explain what that is? Did I miss something?
Rob, I was trying to think about that earlier, which just goes to show what I do with my time. And I think it's relative to like maybe an indigestion joke. That's all I could come up with. I don't know. Yeah, I
don't know what they're telling us here with the Jason tying up guys with links of sausage.
I say, Jason, call me if that's what you do in your free time.
Okay. All right, we got so many things to get to. Let's bring in some questions, and then we'll talk about the stuff from the live feeds. All right, question. Are you okay with us taking questions?
I suppose. I mean, are they going to bruise my
I haven't
frail
screened
ego?
them. Scott,
All right, well,
Scott
let's see what
screened them.
happens.
Okay.
Was Dick really a dick?
Exactly. So,
Okay.
are they just actually just tribute videos of my showmance?
Yes. All right, let's start off with Sheena123 says, Eric, if you were on the season, who would you align with and why? Is there anybody that jumps out to you as somebody who would be perfect person to work with?
Yeah, I actually would definitely be with the After Dark crew, 100%. I think that's a no-brainer for me. Although I must say, I want to call like Alliance gimmick infringement on them. I feel like the After Dark crew is awfully similar to the Late Night crew, which I believe I was a part of. So I'm not sure how I feel about them ripping us off. But other than that, they're the perfect Alliance members. They are happy-ish. They are loyal, and you can easily beat them in the competitions and the vote at the end of the game. I mean, you could easily just spend your day hanging out with James and Jackie and Meg, enjoying yourself, and then kick their ass at the end. I mean, that's the goal. You don't want to be going to the end with other strong partners. The other thing that I could see being decent, I wouldn't mind being aligned with the twins, because they're, you know, when your alliance falls apart, one of them's going and not you.
Okay. People in the chat room are telling me that Jason has somebody tied up with sausage links because he works in a grocery store.
I suppose.
He does. He does do that, or he did.
I mean, but do they have like loose sausage in the grocery store? And like, does he menace me? All right.
I guess there was a sausage song he used to sing on YouTube a lot too that I didn't realize, that I never looked up, but
Okay.
I think that's a factor.
There you go. All right. So let's take this question from Everett Johnson. Why are people not targeting the Oz twins? They get further into the game. It's going to be harder to get them out. Eric, do you feel like people should be targeting the twins in Austin?
All right. So this is kind of interesting because I see it from both sides, and I think we're just about teetering to that breaking point where it's going to become too late. I would say if you had to start looking at Endgame right now, Austin and the Twins are some of your front runners at this point, and they certainly don't have the game to back it up, but they do have the circumstances to back it up. It does take 3 HOHs to get them out. You see, wouldn't have an issue targeting them for like fear of revenge, because what revenge are they going to get? They're not good players. So in that regard, I know a lot of like past contestants were like, the idea is to get rid of numbers. You shouldn't want the other twin to come in. I completely disagree with that. I want the other twin coming into the game because she's a known. Otherwise, you may have pissed someone off. They could have been a jury member. They could come back in and completely screw you. I know the twins are not particularly impressive game players, and I know where their allegiance is, so I have them figured out. So the way I see it is they're great to have around because you can get them at any time whatsoever. If you could call a truce with anyone and say, this is her twin sister. She has all the loyalty in the world to her. Like, I feel like they're perfect to go after around the final 6 or so. And like I said, one of them is making it to the end of this game. So I wouldn't even worry about anything else to do with that, but I would want to break up the trio. So obviously, you go after Liz, it kills 2 duos. You could assume that Julia and Austin kind of have, they'll have a de facto alliance, but no real loyalty at that point. So I think soon, got to take at least one out, but I kind of agree with kind of keeping them around because it's good to have targets in front of you, especially if the targets aren't dangerous. I mean, what are they going to do? It's like, oh no, they have all these votes and all this whatever, but they don't win HOH, they're not good gamers or whatever. So I'd say soon, but I'm okay with what's happened so far.
Eric, did it warm your heart that Liz seems like she is finally falling for Austin?
It was very romantic. And, I was thinking about this before. I'm sure this has come up throughout the season. But what is Grodner's... Does she have a pro wrestling fetish? I mean, I seriously think about this. I actually wrote for WWE. That was never really covered on the show, but
Right.
It was a big part of my interview process. And then you have Jesse, and then you have Frank, whose father, is a 2-time
Right.
champ, and then you have Austin or whatever. And I mean, what is the deal with this? I mean, for such a bizarre, obscure occupation, how do you have 4 people who have worked for the same company at some time or another? It's very strange to me.
Well, I think that there's probably the skill set translates well, I think, to doing some sort of promotion and like your promos and stuff like that. I think that is pretty, apples to apples for the diary room, right?
Well, because he's so dynamic in the diary room, right? I mean, let me ask you something about the Judas persona.
Yes.
Why doesn't his top hat fit? Like, why doesn't he have a? If Judas, wants to put on, Abe Lincoln's finest hat, why isn't it the right size? Like, why does he have a small top hat?
Are you saying that Austin took HGH and his head has grown, but he didn't get a new hat?
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I mean, if anybody, I don't care if he marries Liz. If anybody is going to be mortified when they watch this season, it's going to be Austin. I mean, this is a guy who really knew the show, knows the game, and it's like, come on, man, this is bad. He's really lost the script. And I think it's funny that he thinks he's portraying these alter egos, this villainous character, but what has he done that was villainous? Like, he's nobly protected the twins. Like, I think in his own mind, he's playing something that's just no one else is seeing. Like, he's not a villain at all, in my opinion.
He did do the thing where he went to Jason and said he wanted to get the other twin voted off. That was something that he did. Again, I don't know if that was so much strategy as much as that he was just, like, really hot for Liz and didn't want her sister, who's like a bucket of cold water, around to sort of, like, say, like, this guy sucks.
But one of the strange things about that is that, and, like, this was totally swept under the rug, is we saw on the episode, he told Liz that he was going to do this, and she's like, sure. And then it's like, what a backstabber, he's betrayed us all. And it's like, she was in on it.
I guess he also like threw that veto competition so Johnny Mac would win and threw something for Vanessa. But yeah, he hasn't been super active.
Couple hinky votes, but yeah.
You know what's one of the interesting things is, so he's obviously throwing a lot of this game, there's no doubt about it, like in terms of competitions. And that I always used to say you could use the have-not competition to determine what someone's actual proficiency is in competitions. Because you could throw vetoes, you could throw HOHs, but nobody tries to throw to get themselves on slop. So you could see someone who's like sucks it up in all of the big competitions, but they're playing like super hard in the food comps, and you're like, oh, okay, so that's what they're really up to, and you can kind of, transparent, but there is not, that doesn't exist anymore. So, like, I would hope that Austin was throwing the lanes the other night, because otherwise that was unfathomable how terrible he did. The man's a professional athlete. He takes steps that are like 6 times longer than the rest of the house. So it makes me wonder, is there more to his game? Is he waiting the strike, or is this just like some bumbling idiot who's just found himself almost accidentally in a good position?
All right, so I want to get into talking about the live feeds because there's a lot to break down, and we've been going for a while already. How you doing on time, Eric? You have something else booked after this?
Well, here's my plan for afterwards. Gonna go obsessively read all the comments and then play it cool like I didn't do that at all, and like tell people like, yeah, I did some podcasts, don't worry about it. But actually, like, I'm gonna either cry myself to sleep later, or just like keep rereading them. So I'm like, oh, they still like me. They really do. So pretty much, as long as I have a few hours to do that, I'm good for a while.
By the way, I'm getting applications on Twitter for people who want to be your Twitter assistant.
I'm into this. I really like this because they could weed out the hurt.
Yeah, filter. It's a filter. Nobody has direct access.
I actually think that that's one of the worst things for a reality TV personality, is that a real celebrity, they don't see this stuff, they don't do any of this stuff, but we feel it. This staff psychiatrist, the one thing they tell you after you get voted out, do not go on the internet, and what's the first thing everyone does?
Yeah.
goes on the internet. People should listen to this lady. She knows what she's talking about.
Yep. Okay. So we're gonna be back. If you're gonna jump out here because you don't want to get into the live feed stuff, we'll be back tomorrow night. Ian Terry live after the double eviction, 10:15 p.m. Eastern. But for the rest of us, it's time to talk spoilers.
The Office of Civil Defense has issued the following message. This is
A spoiler.
warning.
A spoiler.
Warning means that an actual
Spoiler.
against this country has been detected, and that protective action should be taken.
Yes. Okay. All right. So we are ready to talk spoil time. Eric, you ready for this?
Whoa, that's wild, as Julie would say.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's wild.
All right, Alex. It looked like it was going to be Vanessa all week. I did a whole podcast with Derek where we eulogized Vanessa, but there's always a way out. What happened?
The house flipped, Rob. It happens.
How did
It
it
happens.
flip? Was it because of Vanessa or was it because of the other people in the house?
You know, I think this is actually one of those rare situations where Vanessa was maybe like third or fourth most responsible person for the house flipping to save her. It's just, you know, sometimes you get these kind of perfect storms of situations
It was
that
like
all come
last
together.
season when Zach was asleep all night and the rest of the people in the house decided to
Yeah,
save her.
it does feel that way. It does because you've got these things coming together. You've got what people are calling Shirtgate, which happened on Monday night, which was Shelley taking back a sweater of Clay's that James has been holding on to, and you know, just kind of a blatant example to them. It's like, well, Shelley's coming after me. Like she came after the sweater. She's coming after me in the game. So I mean, you know,
Eric, if somebody wants the sweater, does that mean they're coming after you?
It's a telltale sign. Yeah. I mean, think about Zach last year. He wore Amber's sweater for like at least another 2 months after she was out. He was coming after her for sure.
Yeah. And Victoria took her hat back.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
Caitlin.
I thought Meg had the line of the day when she said, "James, yeah, you know, in hindsight, it's like you killed her man, and then you've been wearing his pelt around." It's like, oh, don't say that. It is a decent point.
All right, so is this locked? Is this official? Vanessa is staying through the first eviction?
As of right now, yeah. I mean, Shelley, you know, got enough information this afternoon and evening that I've been watching. She knew enough to go try to campaign and do, you know, what she could, and it didn't work. I mean, she's not good at it, clearly, because she, like, her first thing she said to James was like, "You should be glad that I'm coming in here talking to you." No, you should be glad he's listening. You're the one on the block.
Yeah. Eric, does it make you sad potentially that Clay and Shelley could be separated by just one eviction in the game, but an entire summer where they'd be separated?
This is a tragedy. I was hoping that they'd have the opportunity to get the CBS Jury House talk, in which they say, in the event that you impregnate someone, CBS is not responsible for the baby.
Wait, that's a talk in the jury house?
Not that I ever got to sit down and talk about that. I'm just saying.
Was there some precedent where somebody was impregnated in the jury house and they felt like, well, the baby was made here, give us money?
Must have been, you know, because that would be like your first instincts, like, CBS is the father. I don't know. No, in all seriousness,
Call Maury Povich.
This is like such a game tragedy for so many of these people, and I think it actually speaks to the season as a whole. Wrong targets at the wrong time. If this was just going to be what they wanted and what they were going to do, they should have saved Clay, who Meg was in great with, who Johnny was in great with, who James thought maybe he was in well with, you know, whatever the case may be. It's like completely insane and the fact that Vanessa has them snowed. I mean, how many times, people? It's absolutely ridiculous. And this is why, of course, we couldn't speak to this earlier. This is why Vanessa is a better player than most in that house, because how does she have them convinced that this is in their best interest now? And I know the arguments. I'm sure Alex will talk us through the arguments for how this benefits James, Jackie, and Meg, but I'm not seeing this. I think Shelley is kind of crazy at this point. She's totally out of the game. She's trying to align, you know, floaters and this and that. I don't see her as a mega threat anymore. Vanessa will simply revert back to where it was. She still has Alliance members intact. Open your eyes, people. She has the votes from Austin and the Twins. Like, that tells you where they stand in the game. And She convinced you to keep Shelly. Now she's easily disposing of Shelly, convincing you this is in your best interest. Like, there is some mind control going on here. So I don't know how she's doing it, because to an outside observer, she seems manic. But inside the house, her word obviously means something.
Alex, do you feel like the After Dark crew, or I guess their new name is the Goblins, are they making the wrong decision this week in your mind?
This is the $1 million question, Rob. I've gone back and forth on this all day with the $500,000 question. Me and Taryn, your other live feed correspondent, are split on this. I think this is one of those great moments of Big Brother where you can have all the information and still disagree on what's the correct decision.
What's your take?
To me, I agree with Eric. I think you've got Shelly, who is making, she's going. This is a Gina Marie move, taking the clothes of your man that's gone. Anytime anyone is going full Gina Marie, I think you keep them in there. Her head's not right. The mental comps are coming. Vanessa is like the things you're worried about with Shelly, the endurance stuff, like they don't have time for that in a double eviction. Like maybe that'll be the comp at the end of Thursday, but like, you know what I mean? I think the things you're worried about with Vanessa are, her ability to persuade, her ability to win mental comps. I mean, I just think there's a lot more that Vanessa brings to the table in terms of, like, she comes with, if it's to use a poker terminology, like, she's playing with a hand that's much bigger than Shelly's because she has cards that she knows how to play that Shelly doesn't even realize are in the deck.
I have 2 points I want to chime in with. One is, realistically, they don't seem to understand this, but either Shelly or Vanessa are coming after them. One person's winning the game. They're not on the same side. I don't know why they can't process this. So in one scenario, they piss off Becky, who is a true ally to them right now, and in the other scenario, they don't. So as far as I'm concerned, either way, they have an enemy, and this way, they're actually ruffling the feathers of someone who did well by them this week. So it's making an unnecessary additional person upset, and I think that's the Goblins' biggest downfall in this game, is that they are never in the right time. Sounds confusing, but it's like they're 2 weeks behind or 2 weeks in the future always. So right now, they're obsessed with the fact that 2 weeks ago, Becky was a rat. You know what? 2 weeks ago, that was a problem for the game. But the joke is, now, Becky is firmly aligned with them. She has chosen a side. And they can't see this. They can't see that Austin and the twins are never going to be allies with them to the end. Also, let's just say they are allies to the end. Let's say they magically make it to the final 6 together. They're going to get their asses kicked by Austin and the twins at the final 6 then. So I don't even understand what the game is here. Shelly's told them many, many times, and she's correct. Vanessa is the glue here. Take Vanessa out. Steve is flapping in the breeze. Austin and the twins become a separate entity, and I think we'd be seeing a much more exciting game if we kind of had John, Steve, Shelly in the middle, the Aust twins, and then the Goblins. But instead, I think we're going to just revert back to where we were. I mean, they keep talking like they're going to honor this deal, take out the floaters, take out the floaters. That doesn't benefit anybody. It's ridiculous. That's like a false truce. It's unnecessary. The floaters they're floaters for a reason. Nobody cares.
Alex, who do the Goblins see as their primary adversaries in the house?
Okay, so yeah, let me talk through like how they reach this conclusion and kind of why they feel this is the move. See, they're seeing it as a situation where in their minds you've got Austin and the twins on one side, you've got them on another side, and then a third group of 3 that they believe is firmly solid in Johnny, Max, Steve, and Shelly. And then their thought is that if that was allowed to continue, then Becky's good in between all those groups, and you've got people targeting them, whereas they believe that if they kept Vanessa, you've got Vanessa, Austin, and the twins targeting Becky's group, and Becky, Steve, and Johnny Mac targeting Austin and the twins, with them kind of left out of it. That's what they're thinking. I see it. I just, I can't help but go back to, Sunday's episode, I believe it was, when we heard Julia's diary room where she called Vanessa the mom of the alliance. Like, I think a lot of this rides on Austin and the twins turning their backs on Vanessa, and I don't see that. And I also don't see Steve abandoning Vanessa if, she were to stay and then kind of put the screws to him.
Yeah, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because I feel like the best move would be if you took Vanessa out of the picture and then you've made Shelly feel like you're saving her and you kept Becky. It seems like that you could make if there's 3 groups, ideally you want to align with one of the other groups and target the third group, which would be Austin and the Twins, and it seems like they're just trying to move into a neutral stance and then hope that the other two groups kill each other.
Right. It's what always happens on Survivor when you have the three tribes is two always align and pick off one of the others. So that would be the correct thing. And I also think it's very short-sighted because who gives a crap if Becky's in good with everyone? If anything, that should be ideal for them. You know what? Becky's the perfect person for them to vote out in 4th or 5th place. Why do they need to get her out right now? Let Becky be comfortable for a month. What bearing does that have on them? It's like they're fixated on really bizarre things. And I will say this, and this is entirely so I can pat myself on the back. I'm sure there may have been one or two others, but there's been like under maybe 3 to 5 people in the history of the show, myself being one of them, who are put up as a replacement nominee with the intention of that person going home who actually stayed. Those people are marked for dead. They are 5 3/4 feet underground from the minute the ceremony happens. Those people are out. So if Vanessa stays, it's a testament to her game that she's managed to actually do it. And whether or not it's her doing or not, it's really neither here nor there because it's part of the groundwork that she laid beforehand. It's a really huge, huge, huge mistake in the game. You only get one shot at certain people. You got to take it. And if you were not going to vote her out, they really screwed Becky. It's really, and themselves really. They could have just put up anyone and voted out Shelley. They had the votes to do it. They had the 3 of them and John. John is close with Becky. He would have done anything. So you want Shelley out? Put up Liz, vote out Shelley, and be done with it or whatever. Do not, like, poke the bear and then not get rid of them. Once you've antagonized the person, you end them. That's the end of it. Like, I don't understand what the thought process is. Really short-sighted, and it shows how all over the place they are. And they're really bad at the game, honestly.
So, Eric, we have an exciting week, an exciting vote leading up to the first part of the double eviction. That vote that I mentioned before where the House flipped it around, where Zach was going to go home and they ended up voting out Jocasta while Zach was sleeping to switch it around. That was also on the heels of a double eviction. Does a looming double eviction cause more sort of upheaval in the House on that first part of the vote, Eric?
I mean, I understand it. I went home in a double eviction.
Yes.
I think if I had 30 additional seconds to have a conversation, let alone a week of game, I don't think that would have happened. So it's the perfect opportunity to get out people you don't want to deal with, who are going to be able to talk their way out of it, who are you know, it's like Judd. There's just like, this way they don't have to explain it to him. It's like, sorry, Judd. And he's like, what the just happened here? And it's like, but it doesn't matter because you don't need to explain it. He's gone. So I think that anyone who feels like they're a strong player is going to be super paranoid about a double eviction and just wants to survive it because then you can kind of take a deep breath and regroup. But I think that they're very short-sighted in their decision-making. There's no question about it, they will rue the day that Vanessa stays in the game. Vanessa's not going to go home on the second side of this double eviction. She has the ability to rally people. She has people. This is going to be the move that ends their game, 100%.
Yeah. Alex, do you see it the same way?
I mean, yeah, it's tough, and, you know, I've really tried to look at both sides today, and I definitely see the arguments on both sides. I just do. I feel like this is a move that short-term maybe has, you know, maybe they're looking at it like, you know, best odds to survive the double, and maybe I see that. But no, if you're looking for best odds to win the game, you get rid of Vanessa in my mind. You get rid of the person that is, like, clearly the best manipulator, the person that's able to craft alliances around her and sustain them. I mean, she has abilities that Shelley just doesn't have in this game, and to me, that's what I look at first.
Okay. Alex, in the double eviction, who's the second person going home tomorrow night?
Oh, boy. So it's, you know, obviously a big factor of this house flip is that Austin seemingly was uncaring about, you know, the Vanessa situation, and so Austin and the twins have kind of formed a loose alliance with or at least, you know, on the surface level, they formed a loose alliance with James, Jackie, and Meg, and that is really bad for the Beckys and J Max of the world. I think if Johnny Mac doesn't win one of these first two competitions tomorrow, he's looking really bad.
No!
I know. Oh, no!
I can't believe they got voted out in the double eviction. I didn't see that coming.
It happened so fast.
Eric, is that how you see it?
If they have any, I mean, it's what's exciting about the season is it's totally dependent on who wins HOH. This truce it's total meaningless gibberish to me. I do think that it will actually, I agree, it probably affects the double eviction, and then it's completely off after that. But we only have time for some sort of like A-B, true-false type of scenario here. So who's going to end up winning it? The person that they have never even considered or at least designed this or whatever, like Steve's going to win it, and then like, Becky's going to go home or something like that. It's going to be, I do not see a big target. I don't think it's James. I don't think it's whoever stays of Vanessa or Shelley. I think it will be a middling player at best. And James, I heard he has this ludicrous claims lately that he should go home before his ladies. First of all, I heard he's trying to get over James's angels, which we know is sacrilege.
Yes.
I think we should have Keith on to talk about this. This is completely...
I would love to. Can you help us get in contact with him?
I doubt it. I don't think so. But nonetheless, is he pulling a Lawan or is he pulling an Ozzy? He does have a better chance of coming back into the game if there's a returning juror. I don't think that I would be banking on that. That's a really poor decision, in my opinion. I've heard him say numerous times in the last week, like, I should go home before you guys because I'll come back. I can win a competition. I'll win a vote. It's like, no, that's a really terrible idea, James. You should not do that.
Well, it's not the craziest thing. I mean, that James, at least, no matter how they do the vote, and what do you think? It's going to be a competition or America's going to vote?
I think I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. I think it'll depend on who's out and how we want to get someone back in the game.
I mean, if you're looking for somebody to win a competition, if it's some sort of endurance comp, that would be the guy I would pick. If you look at Joker's updates, the guy that's #1 in the polls is James. So I feel like either way, he's got a decent shot of being the person that comes back.
I agree with that, but wouldn't his game be better off for just not being eliminated in the first place?
Yeah, but I'm saying if he's on the block, with say him and Jackie are up on the block, or him and Meg are up on the block, it might not be the worst move for him to be the one to go home. I wouldn't do it.
Well, when we speak about Lawan, who I love Lawan, is one of the greatest guys who's been on this show, and do we think back fondly upon his decision to potentially sacrifice his game and what he's going to return with? You don't know anything. You do not sacrifice to the unknown. It's a bad decision. And honestly, if there was takeovers this season, how great would it have been if Lawan came back with superpowers and he could just do whatever the hell he wanted, just running amok all over the house. It would have been glorious.
Oh, handsome-fied. Oh.
All right, everyone's getting handsome-fied. What if it was actually just what if it was get ready for a makeover and he literally just got everyone handsome-fied?
Let me see those smiles.
By the way, Eric, the man who came in the house instead of Lawan, Brendan, has been tweeting during this show tonight. And I know you're not on Twitter, so you aren't able to read any of these. He says, I'd like to report, while at Hearts of Reality, Eric Stein experienced a BB takeover and was replaced by Jamie Newton at karaoke.
What?
Yeah?
Yes, okay, so for many years in a row, Brendan and I would tear down the house with Bohemian Rhapsody. There was a picture circulating last year, and we couldn't honestly tell if Brendan was standing on a chair or if he was just that much taller than me. It's been a glorious duet for many, many, many years. And let me tell you something about this. I was outright not invited to the event this year.
Are you there?
Well, I've been there like 4 or 5 times. Like, I'm an ardent supporter of the charity. And I find it to be rather amusing that somehow I didn't make the cut. Like, I'm so out of the sphere of,
Jamie Newton was there.
Right. They didn't think I could even sell. There's, 11th out on Season 2 of The Face Off. It's I think there were people from Amazing Race, the Family Edition, and yet I'm not considered high enough on the pecking order anymore. I couldn't even sell 2 tickets. So it's why even bother, paying for this guy's lunch? Forget it. Not even going to have
Wait, a Survivor Guatemala contestant replaced you.
Yeah, I could have, and I could have jumped into the fray of the little skirmish that happened at the event. I read all about it. I mean, after all, isn't it a perfectly great place to get into childish fight at a charity event
You
for
would have kept the
terminally ill
peace, is what you're
children.
saying.
What is that?
You would have been an ambassador for peace.
I would have been clapping, jumping up and down like Billy Madison when Eric's on fire. I would have been so happy watching this embarrassment unfold.
So what you're saying is that if next year, if they bring you back to Hearts of Reality, you will be a peacekeeper.
Yeah, yes, I'll make the pitch now. Jamie Newton and I will oversee, make sure that things run smoothly.
All right, so tell Eric Stein's assistant on Twitter that you want to see Eric Stein back at Hearts of Reality this year. Okay. Let's take some more questions tonight. Bobby asks once again, can you think of any upside to an HOH's game being so cocky about who they're targeting, or has Becky simply got the HOH-itis? Eric, do you want to take this?
Yeah, there's an upside to it. It's taking credit for getting out a big player in the game.
And what if that big player doesn't go home?
Well, then you have a problem on your hands. As noted before, historically, she made a good move. You know, it seemed like she was like I'm Becky, and here I am in this game. Hello, world. No, now it's just like her power was meaningless. She made several enemies.
It was the train all over again for Becky this week.
It's tough. It's tough times. Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I think she made the right move. I think this is the correct play. And I mean, I'm not really sure what she was doing about, like, don't tell anyone, but I'll tell everyone. Like, I guess, like, that's what I feel like what it really came down to is she wanted all eyes on her. She wanted the credit. I'm the one who did this. I'm the one who's telling you. I'm the one who realized that she's a troublemaker. And that's great, but she should have secured the votes first. Yeah. I mean, that's the only problem.
It's the thing. All right, let's do some more questions. This is from Taika Fika, who says, how do you feel about Becky's reaction to Vanessa talking to her after the competition? I felt like she really smirked and laughed a bit when Vanessa was talking to her about the replacement nominee. Was this a dead giveaway? Alex, I also saw some conversations that Becky had with Vanessa this week. How do you feel like Becky has dealt with Vanessa?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I referenced this earlier when I was talking about her saying you're going home in the diary room. I just think this is not good gameplay. In general, you know, I think it was interesting that Vanessa seemed to still think before the nomination that there was a chance it wasn't going to be her. So it does tell me that Vanessa didn't, you know, it wasn't a total dead giveaway. That being said, it's like, right, where's the upside to you antagonizing her at that point? Like, you're going to make the move regardless. Like, you can carry it out without kind of rubbing the salt in the wound or, like, you know, doing the whole, like, I'm done with deals, just agree to a deal and then walk her out. You know what I mean? There's better ways to handle it that set you up to not be so screwed if it doesn't go through.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like she's acting, though, as if it were going to go through. And I think we're talking at, like, a 0.5% scenario in Big Brother history where it does not go through. So I think she's just gloating. I think that's really what it is. She's thinking to herself, who cares if she knows, if she doesn't know, she's going home, it's fine, whatever the case would be. And I mean, and in, you know, you kind of, it's a fine line on jury management. You don't want to be too well-liked. To have a known juror against you, I don't even think that's that big of a detriment because it's like, I already have a vote against me, guys. We know Vanessa's not, you know, going to do it. I feel as if she just, the problem is she's playing as if she had knowledge that she simply didn't possess. Like that's what it really comes down to. She did not work to secure people to make this a certainty, which is a huge mistake.
Okay, let's do two more questions. Let's do this one, which is from Eric Duncan. Why is Vanessa mad that Becky went back on her word? She went back on her deal with Jason, James, and Jackie. Isn't Big Brother a game of lies, Alex?
Absolutely, but I think this is a testament to what Vanessa does really well, and I think it's also a testament to exactly why fans hate her, or the fans that do, because, yeah, I mean, oftentimes the best player is the best hypocrite, and Vanessa is really great at creating a narrative in the house. Like, there's a reason she says these things. I'm in this game solo dolo. She says it like 10 times a day, and, you know, I have no one protecting me, and I'm always good to my word, and it's like, we know this not to be true, but the conversations that have developed as a result show that, like, if you beat people over the head with this idea that you're loyal and truthful, that eventually it almost becomes canon, which is interesting.
Eric, didn't you recently describe your dating life as solo dolo?
I feel like in this particular case, it's like, isn't that what Derek did? It's what Andy did. They all do the exact same thing. It's the liar's denial. You know, it's perfect. And again, be really well served to have one single diary room in which you just simply said, like, oh, I know I'm lying through my teeth. I'm not a delusional moron. I know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm not going to let on to that in the house. I mean, that's the thing, is that, and I will say this, I did a ton of things in the house that I would despise as a viewer. I watch people do similar things, and I think to myself, oh my God, this person's lost their mind. They're believing their own lies and this and that. That's the correct way to play the game. If you walk around and you're just like, guys, I'm aligned 8 deep. I also have a secret alliance with Steve. I also am really on good terms with so-and-so. How is that to your benefit? I mean, it's perception is reality in the Big Brother house, and she's the only person who actually put in the work to actually carve the narrative, like Alex said. That's really what it comes down to. She is shaping what people are believing in the house, which is what Derek did and what several other good players did. Now, I think she happens to be much sloppier, much more unfocused, much more, you know, ADD about the whole thing, but the manipulation's there. And she has the game down. It's like close but no cigar, but that might be enough.
Okay, let's do one last question here with Eric. And this is from Kevin Paul, who says, RJP, with Caleb making it to Final Four and Austin looking to be a great great position, is it a smart strategic move to play the stalker? Eric?
It's actually worked out really well for Caleb, Austin, Gina Marie. They've all gone really, really deep in the game. It's like kind of like when your showmance goes home. That normally works out well. It worked for Jordan. It worked for Rachel.
Lisa Donahue.
Right. So maybe this is like the new version of that. It's like the person you're stalking goes home, and all of a sudden you have clarity. You know, it's like as soon as Amber went home, Caleb once again became the leader of the bomb squad, an alliance that didn't exist.
I think there may also be something to this idea that, like, let's keep the guy whose head is clearly not in the game, right? And it's like Austin's first focus seems to be Liz. Caleb's first focus was clearly Amber. This is somebody that we're not worrying about outthinking us. You know what I mean? I think there's something there.
Yeah, speaking to what we were actually talking about before, though, about anyone winning, is, like, there's almost the whole cast is still there. That's the thing. The whole time frame of the game is, like, wildly off. There's a ton of numbers still in existence here. There's 12 people left in the house still? 12 people? Yeah. Right. So it's like anyone could still do this. What if Meg wins 4 HOHs? And it's just like, what if she does a DR and it's like, hey, guys, I was everyone's friends for the first 3 months, and now I'm smoking everybody. I mean, there's so
Wait till I get you back in New York City, everybody.
Right. There's so much game left to play, and what's cool about this is it's wide open. Anyone can still take it by the horns. And
the winner is who, Eric?
I do not think we can say. And I pride myself. I've predicted winners, Final Threes, like for years ago. I think it's wide open this year, which is, I think, why everyone loves the season. I'm standing by this. Literally every single person can still win the game. They just need to be sitting next to the right person, and the right things need to happen between now and then. There is nobody who is dead to rights.
Okay. Brendan is saying on Twitter, let's get the hashtag bring back Eric Stein going in reference to Big Brother and Hearts of Reality.
Yeah.
I feel like he's luring me into a false sense of security for a first out on an all-star season.
Oh, is that it? Or is it sort of like the
he thinks I'm an easy mark.
It's sort of like they're trying to like prop you up, like here's everybody, let's get a pity thing going of get back Eric Stein.
Well, I think they like, I just think they think that I'm at my wit's end. So at this point, they just rather see me back than like institutionalized.
Like,
it's like, you know, one too many close calls, you know.
Hug Eric, right?
Right. So like, I mean, like with Survivor Second Chances, like that was the only thing anyone said to me about is like, you could really use a Big Brother Second Chances. It's like, thanks. I appreciate that. At this point, I mean, I'm further removed than Chicken George was when he was on the first All Stars.
Yeah.
Like, I'm almost certain that the majority of this cast, last year's cast, would literally have no idea who I even was.
Yeah, but
just like,
bodes well.
Yeah, now you got them right where you want them.
Yeah, exactly. I could pull a Johnny Mac.
Yeah.
Ah, this is madness in here.
Like, oh, who's the weird old guy in the house?
Right. They're like, they spend the whole summer trying to figure out what exactly I'm bringing to the table. He's
Like,
short,
oh, okay.
He's ugly. He's a terrible player. He's old as hell. What's happening here?
Yeah,
Must be
people
America's
like, oh,
player.
well, okay, Eric is like the dad that's in the house. It's like, Eric, are you going to get a letter from your kids this summer?
Maybe it could be like, like I could be the new Jerry. I could just be dragged to the final 3 and just lose, and that's the end of it. Just a total non-entity.
Call people out with no repercussions whatsoever. Yeah.
Maybe I don't even have a vote or anything. I'm just like the house pet. Like I just hang out for the summer.
Yeah, you'd be like the Jack Owens in the house or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Or like on the first All-Stars, how they just had like the people who didn't quite make it as like the ghosts in the window. Like I'm not gonna actually be in the cast. They'll just be like, hey guys, remember America's player? Like he's pouring your breakfast this morning. Like welcome him back.
All right. So Eric, are you really considering this idea of a Twitter assistant, a Twitter representative that would post for you on Twitter?
The thing is, I really seriously need a Twitter account, and I don't want any part of it. So I think that there's something to it. What I was thinking of doing, actually, is signing up, falsely getting my followers, and then immediately just changing over the account. Like it's no longer Eric Stein's account.
So what would you change it to?
Secret business matters.
Okay.
But like I was thinking, and then I was like, people aren't going to respond well to that. It's going to be like an in-house deception. It's going to be right out in the open or whatever. I'm open to it. It's on the fence. I know that I need to, if I'm going to join, I need to do it during Big Brother season. Like if I do it sometime like in March,
right?
Then we have the 8 followers.
Okay, so let me just pitch you on some upcoming ideas. Okay,
right.
So what if I was to accept applications from people? I want to be Eric Stein's Twitter valet. And then we do a podcast where I present you all the applications and you pick the person who is going to be the most qualified to represent you on Twitter.
What do you think the qualifications should be? Because we could go in many different directions here.
Hey, it's open-ended. That's why it'll be a fun podcast.
This is kind of like I want to work for Diddy. Or I want Paris Hilton's my new BFF, for example.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think I definitely know if I was to have a Twitter caddy, they're in this chat room right now. Let's face it.
There's 1,000 people in the chat room right now.
All right, and there's probably only about 30 total who even like me in the world, let alone in the chat room, let alone in.
Okay, so all you need is one person. All we need to find is that one person.
Yeah, I'm into it. I think this is.
Would you do this as a podcast?
Now, are they gonna assume my voice, or is it gonna be a known commodity that they are just relaying the message for me? Or are they gonna act like they are me?
Right. No, they're relaying the message. Well, yeah, it would be between you and the person to work this out.
This should be your new series, Rob. This could be a new apprentice for you.
What do you think about this, Eric?
This is finally my revenge from Game Masters.
Yes. Okay, but you would seriously do this?
Yeah, I'm into this, but I mean, also though, since I like dealing like Vanessa, if we agree to this, does this also mean that we can do an unauthorized retelling of a Full House podcast in a couple of weeks?
Yes, yeah. When is that coming out? The last one came out, I think, Labor Day.
Yeah, it was only I know it was a couple weeks, so I'm sure it's the same time of year this year.
Okay, should that just be part of this? Is this all one show, or are we booking many appearances now?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't gotten to see the feedback yet. I'll tell you once I've read the comments. If it's favorable, maybe I can come back a few times, but if I might have to crawl right back under the rock.
All right, so if you want to pander to Eric Stein,
that's right.
Come back. Then leave some positive comments at robiswebsite.com. Or if you never want to see Eric Stein again, then leave negative feedback
after
at
this
robiswebsite.com.
Pathetically needy showing. That's what I would say. If I'd be like, please, I'm not stroking this guy's ego.
Yeah, by the way, the Full House Lifetime movie, I believe, is premiering Saturday, August 22nd, so 10 days from now.
Whoa. That's wild.
That is wild.
Yeah, I'm into it. it. I think, I don't know. I've been a little bit more, like, I I wasn't even like exceedingly difficult to pin down for this.
No,
one.
you were very good. You were very good. So maybe that's one show. Maybe what we'll do is I will start fielding applications from people. I'll put out a link on Twitter of how to apply to be Eric Stein's Twitter valet. We'll talk about Full House, and then we'll do this.
Yeah. Only thing is, we need asterisk at the bottom. Disclaimer, like Eric still very well may not join Twitter.
That's fine.
We're
That's
not
fine.
obligated just because we do the podcast, but I'm happy to participate in the podcast.
Okay, so use Brendan's hashtag of bring back Eric Stein.
I feel like he's undermining me. I feel like this is ridiculing me. I'd like him to clarify this right now in the final moments. Is this just some sort of way to mortify me?
We'll see if he tweets back. Yes, people are tweeting in August 22nd for the Eric Stein Full House movie. All right, Alex, anything else you want to let us know about before we sign off tonight?
It's crazy that the house flipped so quickly. I'm going to be watching closely to see if anything changes. It doesn't look like it will, but, I think Shelley, if she's going to want to save herself, she needs to blow up that Sixth Sense alliance that they've been informed of before but don't seem to believe. So go blow it up.
Okay. All right. And tomorrow night we will be live back again after the double eviction. Can't wait to talk about it and see what happens. It's always going to be fun, except when Eric Stein goes home on a double eviction. But other than that, they're usually pretty good. So check that out. That's going to be at 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's going to be our next live show. Thanks to everybody who's been using our link for robisawebsite.com/Amazon. It's always appreciated when you start your shopping there. It helps support the podcast. Have a great night, everybody. Looking forward to reading your comments on robisawebsite.com. Take care.